Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, I come to you with my tail between my legs, defeated. If you don't know, a few days ago, my computer just hard crashed, and it has never been the same since. I have ordered a new PC. We actually did a GoFundMe. Thank you for all the support, by the way. I'll have a link on that in the description. Do not donate. You don't have to. But pretty much, I have been screwed. I have been trying to export the same hour-long video of the next Zero to Hero build for the past 3 days or so, and every single time my computer just hard crashes. So instead of doing that, what I've decided is we are going to condense the last 4 Zero to Hero builds into one video. We're just going to talk about them because I don't want to lose the potential for making the content. Also as well, by the time my new computer gets here, the opportunity to make a video on these builds will be gone because it'll be the next season. What's the point, right? So we're just going to talk about them real quick. Now let's just talk about them before my computer dies. Hurry up. So the first build I want to talk about is a Bleed Javelin Forge Guard. It's the first Forge Guard I played during the patch, and I really enjoyed it. The idea is we're using a Flayer's Pride as our shield, and we're just using a big fat honker two-handed weapon to proc as many bleeds as humanly possible with Javelin. And it performed very well. It actually performed very well. I'm very proud of this build, and it is one of the most satisfying visually builds I've ever played because of the Cosmic Smite MTX and its interaction with the Smite idol, where you just get giant beams of light. It looks amazing and it lights up the screen. Absolutely amazing. I love it to death. And it's going to make me want to play Javelin in the future again, just to be able to see all of those nice Cosmic Smites again. And this build got buffed next patch because of the Bleed Gloves. The Bleed Gloves make this build even crazier because you can get all that juicy Ignite chance and convert it into Bleed chance. There's a lot of things you can do in the next patch to make this build better, but one of the things that really pushed this build to the absolute limit is being able to run the Syrupin's Fractal Tree while clearing. So we weapon swap between a Syrupin's Fractal Tree for a clear and running a two-handed Obsidian Axe for single target. The main reason being Syrupin's gives a lot of extra projectiles for Javelin that shoot out in a Nova now, and that can trigger more smites and stuff like that. So we end up with much better clear overall than earlier before, and that helps out a lot. And then, of course, we can just weapon swap to a big honker weapon when we actually need damage. Now, is this the best build ever? No, it's a Forge Guard, but it's a fun guard. That's all that matters. It's a functioning Forge Guard build from a fresh start environment, and not only does it look visually satisfying, it was a very satisfying playstyle. Although farming a Syrupin's Fractal Tree gave me fractal anal fissures due to how many freaking, exiled mages I had to farm. But you know what? We got there in the end. That's all that matters. There's a lot more pain in regards to this build in terms of how many exiled mages I had to farm. But you know what? We can't talk about it. I don't want my computer to crash. Please, for the love of God, don't crash. All right, the next one's going to be Gathering Storm Dual Wield Melee Beastmaster. So this build was so bad that I probably couldn't exclaim my anger towards it in this video. I really like Gathering Storm. I think it is a very cool skill, a very cool concept of a skill that is being held back by bad numbers. To give you an idea, most builds, the way I do it is I do the 0 to hero run, I get to 10 out of 10 Harbingers, and then the moment I do 10 out of 10 Harbingers, I do a quick test on Abbberoth and see how it performs. Because I want to see what happens if I try to go to Abbberoth as soon as possible with every single build instead of waiting till my gear is better, right? And the average of time, by the way, for the average build, it seems, is 3 minutes on Abbberoth, 3 to 4 minutes at most for a random casual build. If you're not trying to take it too seriously, if you're trying to relax and you're not going too crazy, it seems to be 3 to 4 minutes. And this build took 7. This build took 7 agonizing minutes, mainly because this build ramps up its damage by attacking very fast. That's the whole point of this build. You ramp up attack speed and you try to attack as quickly as possible. The problem is if you're playing on Abbberoth, right, and you're trying to get in melee range to ramp up your damage, you never get the opportunity to do so, because not only does the fucker move constantly, also as well, you can't face tank everything, especially on a solo self-found character that's dual wielding day one, right? Like, it's not like that simple, unfortunately. Also as well, the ramp up to killing enemies in monos is definitely not fun either. Like, it just feels like I'm like hitting like a wet tissue. Overall, I think Gathering Storm is in line for a lot of buffs, in my opinion. At least the Storm Stack version of Gathering Storm, for the love of God. And of course, this patch, I saw in the patch notes, they actually nerfed Excited Bolts. Thankfully, the nerf to Excited Bolts doesn't really affect this build that much, but don't play this build. This build's garbage. I'm really trying with my darndest, like trying to find a way to play Gathering Storm. Like, my anger towards this build could not fit in this video. I can make this video 2 hours long, and my anger towards this build could not fit it. I think this is the only build in the last 2 years that has actually managed to give me like a brain aneurysm. It's the only one that has managed to make me break down. I think that this is legitimately the only build in the history of me playing the game that has effectively made me break down and be sad and like be depressed for a little bit because of just how ungodly terrible it was to play throughout the entire process. I swear to God, just fucking buff it, please. So another build we played was a static sorcerer. The whole concept is we try to charge up static as quickly as possible with a lightning blast. The reason why this is different now is because they added the node inside static that allows your lightning blast crits to charge up static. This makes it so that whenever you're not within the 3-second window of when you've used static recently to get the 3 charges, you can still charge up your static in a fast enough time to make it not feel awkward. That was always a problem with the old static builds, but now that's gone because you can just use lightning blast. So you self-cast lightning blast, you cast static as many times as per possible per second. How is it? It's okay. It's not like the best thing ever. It's like mediocre at best. Like, you'd just be better off just playing a normal build. You'd be better off just not trying to build into static. The biggest problem I have with static is I think that it needs a functionality change. Instead of making it so that it like has enough like targets that it can hit, like a certain amount of targets, it should just hit everything around you in an AoE instead. Because right now, the whole point of static, or at least in theory, the whole point of static should be to clear, because it doesn't do that much damage, that much single target damage, and the amount of effort it takes to actually get the static to be functional and working versus the amount of benefit you get from said static isn't really that high. There's ways where you can abuse it to get a bunch of ward and stuff like that. I'm sure if you kept investing into this build further, it would get more and more interesting. But as it currently stands, I'm not really happy with the current state of this build. I want to make it better, so I will probably end up playing it next patch with like the full power of Merchant's Guild on my side. So we'll see how that goes. It actually got nerfed unironically because they nerfed Wrong Warp. Wrong Warp is just a really good wand for these kind of builds, so it's a nerf to these kind of builds, but that's not that big of a deal. It happens. Like, that shit's gonna happen with every single build. Like, you're eventually gonna get nerfed here and there, but I'm sure we could find some kind of primordial to push it to the absolute extreme, at least in theory, right? But yeah, static, how was it? It was okay. It was functional. I will give that. It was functional and it did enough damage. Now, was it good? Like, good? No, but it was functional. I will give it that. It's better than other lightning builds on this list. All right, the last one on this list is going to be Bleed Shield Rush Paladin. This build performed very well. Thank God. I really enjoyed it. It was just always fun. Bleed Shield Rush is just a fun skill in general ever since they finally bug fixed it. Mike personally saw to it and got it bug fixed. God bless his soul. Now we're finally able to play it again, and it just feels really good to play. The idea is you just use Shield Rush, you bonk into things, you cause Holy Flame explosions from Holy Aura, and that's it, you profit. Because of the way that you hit twice with every Shield Rush, and then you proc a Healing Hands proc when you do that, which is a melee attack, you always get enough to proc a Holy Flame explosion, which then, does a very good generic amount of damage because it has like a 200% more damage modifier that's global, which of course works really well with ailments. And because of that, and they shotgun and all that, it ends up making the build feel really good. Now, the only problem that I would have with this build is the playstyle is a little annoying because you have to like sit there bashing your head into the wall. I do have ways of fixing it. There is a planner going around currently, at least for me, is like a version of Shield Rush where you get like 400% increased area that could fix the archetype. It doesn't really matter that you have to bash your head in the wall if like you hit the entire screen, right? Or at least in theory, we're going to try it at the very least, right? But yeah, this build was smooth all the way through. The moment I get Shield Rush set up, damage is great. The moment like I get it all set up, like the survivability is great. The damage is great. Overall, just a very good functioning build. Hopefully we can improve it in the future with some primordials and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this build. Like, there's not really much to say. It just worked right out of the box. I can't really complain. Did all the content it needed to do. But yeah, with all that being said, this has been Dread. Hopefully my computer doesn't crash when I'm exporting this. Bye.